It's been 139 days, 139 days which the students never really thought would be the amount of time that it would take for a government to understand the concerns of the premier film school in India. What those concerns were, which initially started off as probably a impulsive reaction to the announcement made in the PIB website of the chairman of the governing council and the FTII society members being announced. The students met one night and they just asked a simple question to each other: who is he? Who is he to be our chairman? And who are these people in the society? What started off as a question on the 12th of June, over the next 139 days became a question which took shape by itself in multiple ways, in multiple places, and by multiple people. The students triggered the question for themselves initially. The next 15-20 days after the strike was announced was spent within ourselves to understand what the question was all about. Who are these people and of what significance are they for a space like the FTII? When we probe further into these questions, we realize that these are the same kind of questions which have bothered a lot of people in this country in the last 1.5 years. We started connecting the dots. We started giving ourselves that understanding that this is not just happening in our institute, this is possibly happening in many institutes across this country. And what is common to all of these institutes? These institutes are run by the central government. So who composes the central government today? And then the question became quite evident to all of us that it is a certain political ideology with a certain mandate which is composed of a certain number of people who look at the world in a certain way, who believe that the world should function in a certain way, and who feel that the next generation of people who are coming into this world should also believe what they believe in. Having clarified this for ourselves, the strike then gained momentum. We moved from the institute corridors to the gates outside. The rally that we took out in the city of Pune was quite unprecedented for us. The turnout that we had of about 600 to 700 people who joined us as we marched along from the Film Institute to Omkareshwar Bridge. And in that walk, we probably realized that we are not alone. Number of people from the streets just joined in as we walked along. Number of voices started coming in support of the students, not just as audio and video bites coming, in television channels and in YouTube videos, but some important people who came down to campus, sat with us, shared what they felt about the issue that is on campus, and helped us connect the dots with the world outside. As this momentum built, a very important democratic process was underway, the monsoon session of the parliament. And as we were all aware that we are part of a government institute, and in a government institute, it's the people of this country who are the stakeholders, who are the people who are concerned with this institute also. We wanted to reach out to the elected representatives of the people of India. And hence we chose to write letters to different members of parliament from across party lines who we felt will take our concerns across in the parliament. It did shiver the government in the parliament. Our Honorable Minister of State did give a statement where he sided with a certain view that he felt his party members and a few people who are associated with his party felt is what the students are all about. And in the process of reaching the parliament, from being film students, we became anti-nationals, anti-Hindus, and even mentally retarded. After the journey to the parliament, the students reached the streets of Delhi. When we reached the streets of Delhi, we realized that it's the national capital which is also with the students. It's the academicians in the national capital, students in the national capital, filmmakers, and people from the political fraternity who all share our concerns. In Delhi, our protest was stopped by the police at Parliament Street. Almost 4 hours of protest finally led to the police giving us an audience with the Joint Secretary Films. One thing remained common in all these interactions that we've had with the ministry officials, which continued even with that meeting. After that, the students came back to be given a surprise which the students were not expecting in the surprise sense, but a surprise which would actually take a different course in the journey of this strike. The 2008 batch and the administration's decision to do their assessment on an as-is where-is basis, despite the faculty warning them not to go ahead with it. That led to a 7-hour-long meeting with our director and the registrar. At the end of the meeting, the director called the police because all those 7 hours what the students were asking were valid questions for which the director had no answer, and hence the police was called in. The police beat students up. Some of us were injured. All of us were taken out of the director's office, including the director, and when the students further questioned him, he had no answer. The next day, in a midnight crackdown, 5 students were arrested. 17 were filed with an arrest warrant, out of which the 5 who were arrested were taken to jail. They were produced in court. In the court, the police presented the case, and the court very clearly said to the police that under no circumstances should the police have had arrested students at midnight, and especially when these students are questioning their administration and when the issue is still being discussed between the students and the ministry, the police should not have taken such an action, and the students were released on bail. Time went by. The students were running from pillar to post, reaching out to every single person in the film fraternity from across the country, gathering momentum, gathering all our strength in trying to make the ministry understand what these appointments meant to us. And in the last 20 days, the ministry requested us to take a decision which we very humbly took, the decision to call off a hunger strike. After the arrests, the students were really in uproar. They were quite worried and concerned with the way the government was dealing with this issue. The students, 11 of them, with all their strength and courage, and one student who, and we really are ourselves wondering with that energy that he had, students sat on a hunger strike for 18 days, of which one single student sat through all those 18 days. At the end of the 18 days, the ministry finally sent us a letter asking us to withdraw the hunger strike so that they could talk to us. The students wholeheartedly agreed to this and called off their hunger strike with the hope that the ministry will now resolve the issue. They called us for a meeting. We hoped that it was just one meeting that would resolve this issue. It took them 4 meetings and a 5th meeting in Delhi last week. And after these 5 meetings and 4 meetings that we've had prior to that, after close to around 8 to 9 meetings that we've had with the ministry, we have one answer that which I think we can summarize from all the meetings that we've had. We don't have the mandate to take a decision. And I think that's the reality of the strike. The government, the officials of the government, the Honorable Minister of State does not have the mandate to take a decision. The strike started on the 12th of June with a question. That question has morphed, changed, moved around in multiple ways. But after 139 days, the question has now changed. It's not just about these 5 appointments now. I think the question is much larger, and that's what we've discovered in these 139 days. The question now is, who is running this country? That's a valid question that I can put forward because I've gone through those 9 meetings, and so have a lot of us who have been a part of those ministry meetings. And for the number of students who have waited every single day with a hope that the ministry would resolve this issue, we continue to wait. Although the wait is exasperating, the wait is staggering, the wait has resulted in a situation where we have become more aware citizens, where we are now more aware of what our country is, what democracy is, what politics of the right wing is, the attitude of the right wing is. This has come in front of not just the students, but I think in front of the entire country. What the students of FTII have done is that they have awakened the conscience of the people. The conscience of the people who question authority, which reflect the questions that the students have been raising. Be it the Dadri lynching, be it the killing of the 2 children, the 2 Dalit children in UP, be it the appointments in the different institutes across the country, be it the kind of attacks Shiv Sena has made time and again on any liberal attitude shown by people, and of course the kind of remarks and statements made by our own ministers and ministry officials with respect to FTII. After 139 days, the students have resisted very strongly, with a lot of conviction and with a lot of belief, not just in them, but in this institute. After 139 days, we now have taken a decision to go back to academics. We go back to academics with the intent, with the purpose very clear now, the purpose which got resolved in the last 139 days, with a better understanding of the country, with a better understanding of India, that our academics will go forward from now on. It will speak of what we have learned in these 139 days. It might come out in our films, it might come out in our scripts, but it surely will come out in the times to come, in multiple means, in multiple ways, in the protests that we will continue to do despite going back to our academics. This is a decision which respects the views of not just the students, but respects the views of a lot of people in the institute who feel that the future of the institute lies in the students. And the students firmly believe in that. But having said that, we're not just going back to academics, but we also take this opportunity to give a call to filmmakers, academicians, and the citizens of the country to take the baton forward. The filmmakers are our closest association. They are the people in whom we believe from now on. They have supported us in the last 139 days, and we have kept our academics at stake. But from now on, we believe that the filmmakers of this country, be it from the film fraternity based in Bombay, be it independent filmmakers based across the country, be it documentary filmmakers, be it animation filmmakers, be it political filmmakers, be it anyone who is interested in the art of filmmaking, take our concerns forward. The larger artistic community, whose voices have been quashed, whose concerns have time and again been neglected, as though art today is the mouthpiece of the government. It shall never be the mouthpiece of the government. It will always question the government. So we request the artists of this country also to take the baton forward and take the protest forward along with the students. The academicians of FTII, whom we all respect, admire, and whom we spend the maximum time with, they be joined by academicians across the country who now raise valid questions, who have actually raised valid questions for a long time, join with the filmmakers and artists and the students in taking the protest forward. And finally, of course, the common man whom the government really undermines every single day of his life. The common man is trying to make sense of what is happening all around him. And believe me, the common man is aware and is questioning the government on how these 5 appointments were made in the FTII society. And that is what I think the students have greatly achieved, is that they have made the common man understand the concerns of FTII. We might not have reached to all 1.5 billion people, but we have made a sincere attempt to reach out to everyone that we wanted to everyone who understood what we are, and to everyone who cared for art and cinema in this country. We sincerely hope from now on, since we go back to academics, the ministry, for whatever it does, the students will not have any engagement with the ministry in a proactive manner until the appointment issue is resolved.